Hello, hello. I'm trying to. The colors all weird. I don't know what's going on with the colors. It was overblown before, but now it's like crazy. I wonder if it's this. Yeah, it's the right one. I'm going to try to figure it out whilst we wait. I know I'm late. My class ran over and then I had to get something to eat. So I'm going to try to sort out why I'm so dark. Hello. I know it's like a weird coloration here. I had trouble coming down from above. I was so bright white and glowing. And now, I don't know if I hope not, but I don't know if the webcam that I use, I love, I don't know if it's going out. I'm trying to grab some advanced settings here up so I can try to fix it. But, there we go. There we go. A little bit better. I'm not going to mess with it too much, but at least I feel like maybe you can see me. And yes, I have conceded to having a chain around my neck and being an old woman because I keep losing my glasses. So at the last couple of weeks, I've just been taking the chain off and I'm just giving up on it and saying, you know what? I need my glasses all the time now because I'm going blind. No, I'm really not going blind, but I can't see very well without them. So, so you can be with me whilst I get old. Hello, Raven Song. Raven Song is driving. Drive carefully. Don't look in the camera. So anyways, I know Chris was in class with me earlier. We got done late and I was like, I have to eat. Like I have got to kind of decompress and get something to eat. So I'm sorry I'm late. But I just needed to get some food. So, no, I wear this a lot. I don't know. I don't know. It was super, super bright. I had the same shirt on earlier and it was bright, bright white. And then I come on here and it's really dark. Like there doesn't seem to be a right. Whoa. Wait a minute. I don't know what I just did. What happened? Okay. Now I'm all blurred. Oh, I bet my webcam is starting to go. Let's see. Okay. Just, let's see. I'm going to autofocus. And then take the autofocus off. There we go. I know, Tammy. I'm just like, it's done. Every time I get on, it's doing something weird. And my hair is doing weird. I know it's a long class. Follow your star. Maybe you're in a different class, or you just have a different name, so I can't ever know who anybody is. I did have almost a 4-hour class. So I was like, I got to eat some food and I got to breathe for a second here before I start talking again. Okay. B says that the color is good now. I'm just leaving it alone. It's focused and it's a little bit bright color, but at least I'm not in the depths of shadow. How is everybody? How is everybody today? I'm putting away stuff. I think today I didn't have a hello everybody coming in. I didn't have a topic planned. But I was thinking before while I was eating food, I thought maybe we'd talk about divinity. I don't think we've talked about divinity, like what we think of, like how do we see divinity? How do we work with divinity? If we do, what do we think about divine energy? Um, you know, how do we see that? You know, we are in a community group in which I think there's a vast way. You know, some people work with divinity, some people don't. I think we have a lot of nuance in the way um, we approach that which is divine. You know, I'm looking at Tammy Pie. I love the idea of talking about geomancy for an hour. I'm not sure that everybody else would. I have definitely I know I've talked about this before. I have sort of a meandering experience with the idea of the divine. I still feel really, now I feel really dark, but whatever. I'm going to, I know it, whoa. Can't win. That's probably closer to my skin tone. I am like neon white. There's a brightness too. I know people get really annoyed by people being annoyed by their hair or by this, but I will say that it is really, when you have to see it in the corner of your eye, or when I'm looking at chat, I'm seeing my face. So when you have to stare at it the whole time, it is difficult to not, to not react to your hair looking awful, or, you being neon white or something. Like it is difficult. It's difficult to ignore it when it's just, you have to have it so you can orient cards and stuff, but it's hard not to. So I'm going to try to let it go, because it is just weird coloring, but we're just going to allow for it to be weird. So anyways, my experience with divinity is ebbs and flows, right? As a child, we were what I call comfortable Catholics, which I know not everybody has that same experience with Catholicism, but we were comfortable Catholics. We just went when we were in town with my grandmother, and it was a sweet little church in a little fishing town. And, it was just a comfortable existence with, I don't really remember of thinking about God very much. There was a statue of Mary that I sat and talked to as a little girl all the time. So I did have that very comfortable. I just remember chit-chatting with her about everything. Divinity, I would say, Al, anything that you would see as the divine. Yeah, I guess the divine might be a better way to put it. So I had a very comfortable experience with it. And then it would have been fourth grade, because it was been going into fifth grade. I think it was summer of fourth grade. My parents got saved into fundamental Christianity. So it was not just a typical Baptist church down the street. It was a very fundamentalist version of Christianity. And I remember my very first, like church service at this church that we started to go to. And it was a hellfire and damnation. I mean, like burning pits of hell. You're going to burn for all eternity. There will be maggots chewing at your bones. And, it was a very scary thing to step out of, really never even thinking much about God, and church being just that beautiful ritual of wood smells and sitting next to grandma and listening to Latin that you couldn't even understand and talking to Mary. And so it was something like that was really quite a shift in tone, and it was quite shocking and really scary. And so we were in that religion until all through high school. So until I was an adult on my own, and struggled with it all through high school. But I was in high school. I had to keep going to the school. got out of high school and let go of a lot of the kind of crazy stuff like that I consider to be crazy. And then when my son was born, so I was in 21, maybe just turned 21, or I was 21 when I got pregnant, I think. I don't know. Anyway, that was about 21. And when my son was born, he was very, very sick. And he was very sick for a couple of years. And I remember in that first year, I had a lot of people in that denomination because it was very rigid. I had quite a few people say, that it was my fault, that it was a punishment from God. My son's disease was a punishment from God for premarital sex. And which I didn't believe, but it was very heartbreaking to get that put towards you from people that were your friends. Like my best friend, I remember at the time, told me that. And I was just like kind of over it. I was like, I don't believe, I refuse to believe in a divinity, a divine being who would punish a child with a fatal illness for the sins of their parents, the perceived sins of their parents, right? He wasn't born out of wedlock, not that that would matter, but in terms of the church, that would matter, right? So I just said I was done. And I remember he was sick I remember him being sick that way. He was getting sick again, which I knew hadn't been in the hospital. And I remember having a little conversation with God and saying, I can't deal with you right now. I have a sick child who they keep telling me is going to die at any point. I don't know. I can't separate what people have said throughout this really, rigid Christianity, what people are saying. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy to deal with it. So I remember literally saying, you sit over there and me and my son are going to sit over here. And I literally said, you don't interact with me or my child. I don't want anything to do with you. So it wasn't that I stopped believing, but it was that I said, go over here because I can't deal with you right now. I cannot sort it out. I can't figure out where is the truth behind all of the mess of misinformation. And I did believe it was misinformation, but I couldn't sort it out. So we really entered into a truce of you to stay. Well, I did. You stay over there. I'll stay over here. And when I have the time, I'll sort it out. And so that stayed that way for a couple of years where I was just like, I don't, I know that the way that I was raised was not right. I knew that the belief systems for me was not truth. And I knew that divinity, whatever it was that was divine, and I do believe in divine energy. I do believe in a source energy. I do believe in spirit. I've never questioned that. I always believed there was something more. But where I landed at the time was that I didn't really need to know the ins and outs, that I knew what I didn't believe, right? I didn't believe in a divinity that would create human beings and then put them in a fiery hell for all of eternity for making poor decisions. Like I can't even think of an example of very many people who would deserve to burn for literally all eternity, right? That doesn't even compute with a murderer or somebody who, whatever forces in life caused them to become a broken human being who killed people. Even them, I don't think really deserve to die for and burn for all eternity. I mean, really think about that. That is overkill on just about everybody that I could consider. So I knew that was not something that I believed. And I knew that there was a divine energy and a source energy. And I knew that I believed that. But everything else, I would say I would be an agnostic and saying, I don't really know. And I'm not really too worried about it because anything that creates this beautiful, logical, organized system that is the world and the universe has logic and reason and isn't going to do crazy things like that. So, so then it was just a process of trying to figure out what I did believe, right? I had a really good idea of what I did not believe, but I didn't have a very good idea of what I did believe, which I don't think is very, it bothered me for a while because it was a negative belief system. Like these are the things that I don't believe, but I really don't know what I do believe. I just know that I don't believe this. And as you grow and you're trying to, delve into things, I was a Buddhist for a very long time. Philosophically, not religiously. There are religious forms of Buddhism. I did a lot of study and work on meditation and into Buddhism. I've always had an animistic side, a concept of the world being connected, which you see in the idea of weird as well as Buddhism. But that idea of all things being connected energetically and, so I started to slowly add things in, but I would say that I've never been somebody who, worked since that time. I've never been with somebody who works directly and specifically with divinity in a specific form. I'm okay not knowing how divine energy works. I'm comfortably agnostic about that, to say that I would say if I had to nail down what I believe about the different gods and goddesses across different cultures, is that for me, they're different representations of the same energy. They're the ways in which people, human beings across different cultures and different times, try to understand and perceive that which is divine, that which is outside of us. And that we'll never have a complete picture or understanding of that until we experience that one-on-one. And that might look very different for everybody. I think that somebody could experience the divine as a specific god or goddess, and that be just as valid and real as somebody else who experiences a very real experience with the divine that looks something completely different. Energy forces for me aren't bound by one structure. So I think that we can all have very different experiences with that which is divine to us, and it might look very different and be equally valid. So I think that probably, in a very relatively small nutshell, speaks to how I feel about divinity. I do believe that there is source, spirit, divine energies. There is a spark that is outside of, well, not really outside of, because I think we're all part of it and we all come from it. The idea of namaste is that understanding that you're recognizing the divine in somebody else, as you're recognizing your divinity in somebody else, and vice versa. So I do believe in divine energy and spirit and source. And I do believe that people can have very personal experiences with that energy that might look very different and all be very valid. So those are things that I do believe, right? If I work with something like an oracle deck of the divine, so for example, I just did a walkthrough last night. I haven't put it up yet, but I've been working with this deck called the Goddess Spirit deck. I'm leaving this one out because I've been working right now. This energy really has something that called to me, and I've been as soon as I saw this image, I was really had a really strong connection with this energy, which is Abnoba, which is a goddess of the Black Forest Mountains in Germany, and of wilderness and animals and the mountains like this. So this is an energy that I've worked with. But when I say work with a divine energy, like I am personally not necessarily trying to have a one-on-one interaction with this specific personification of a deity or manifestation. I'd say that'd be a better word, right? So I think for me, it's more archetypal, but I do believe that form is there. There were a lot of people at one time who put a lot of energy into the understanding of divinity through this person, through this manifestation of it. And I do think that has power, right? I think that when you have so many people that are putting energy and belief into a manifested form of divinity, that I do think that has power. So if you watch like American Gods, or if you've read the book, I haven't watched it because I didn't really get into the show. I love the book so much, I had a hard time getting into the show. I need to give it another chance. But the books, if you read American Gods, the old gods, right, are fading away because they don't have the people there to give them, put that energy into that manifested form of them, which I think is really interesting. And of course, the new gods are rising up. The gods of the internet and the gods of television are kind of rising up into this big battle between the gods, right? But I do think there is power when you have a specific manifestation of the divine that so many, over hundreds and hundreds of years, and so many people are putting this energy into that form, that there is a power there. I've always been very connected with Odin and with the idea of the All-Father. He always appealed to my, even when I was younger, I don't remember what it was that I read about him. I was a mythology nut. So as a young person, I was in the mythology section, reading them all. And there was something about that image in my head, that image of the All-Father with the broad hat and the long sort of cloaked form and the ravens. There was always a trickstery feel to him, but at the same time, for me, it was a very comforting feel. I understood the trickstery nature. I understood that part of him, but it was always a very father figure feeling to me. And so I always was appealed. Always appealed to me about the All-Father. So I do think there is power and that could have been from my roots as well, because I do think some of that, is our inherited, it's in our DNA as well. So I think it's so interesting to think about. I would never discount somebody's experience with the divine, because it's not upon me to do so. So, I think it's okay to say, for me, it's okay to say, I believe in a divine energy, a source, a spirit. I do believe in that energy. I also believe that the gods and goddesses of yore and of now are human beings' attempt to personify or to understand that which is greater than us. But that doesn't make them any less real to understand that. I also don't think that saying something is an archetype negates its individuation either. Right. So I kind of just leave space. I guess that's what I've learned in my olden years, after many years of mulling over these things, that I'm comfortable to just leave space for things to be as however they are. I'm comfortable with what I don't believe, and I'm comfortable with the ambiguity of source and the ambiguity of spirit, and just to allow there to be that space for very real encounters where I might encounter Mary in a Catholic church, not practicing that religion any longer, and still have a very powerful interaction because of that connection that was made when I was a child, and that I could. And I can leave space for that experience, or I can leave space for an experience where something about this energy of Ebnoba really calling for me to be able to work with. I'm comfortable, and maybe that it leaves a degree of comfortability to say I'm okay with leaving it wide open, and to leave that space for there to be filled by different experiences, and be okay with that. So I feel, and I used to feel bad about that, right? I used to feel like I needed to come to some sort of set understanding, right? I needed to come to some sort of conclusion, like, what do I believe about what it means for something to be divine? What do I believe about what happens after we die? I believe in reincarnation with no hesitation or question. From my own experiences, that's simply, that's simply the way that I believe, and I've never questioned that. I don't think I've ever questioned that. Even when I was in the Christian religion, I've never questioned reincarnation. So I believe that we live more than one life. I believe that there is something divine and greater, and that's okay, and that's enough. I know, again, a lot of parameters about what I don't believe. And I used to feel bad about that, like I had to nail it down. But I think in the end, yeah, I agree, Essence. That is only leads to frustration, because I don't think we ever know exactly what comes after this life until we live it. And I think that the idea or the concept of divine energy means that it is energy that is larger than we are, and in some ways like the universe, right? We can comprehend parts how the world, our world functions, right? But we can't necessarily have all of the answers of how the universe functions. So I might have this piece of understanding about how this here and now functions, but this energy of divinity and something that is divine is like the trying to get a handle, a human fistful on something that is so vast that, I will experience it in different ways and in small moments, and that was okay. And that's okay to just leave that space there. And so I feel it bothered me a lot for a long time, but I feel comfortable at where I am in my journey. I feel comfortable with just leaving the space, and allowing those experiences to shine through, and sit with those experiences when they come, and just sort of be an open water space for these things to come as they come. And I'm okay with that. So that's kind of me. But now let me scroll back a little bit. I'm sure I missed things. I try to get succinct about, okay, this is where I'm kind of landing on a subject. I'm interested to hear, like, how, for people who do work with supernatural, I just was reading something, how they work with divine energy. Like, do you, because I have had experiences, very real experiences with, as I said, with Mary, both when I was younger, and then a couple moments of strong reconnection. Definitely have had Odin experiences, definitely have had Morgan experiences. I also think, I don't know about this with other people as well. We've talked some about ancestral energy. I do also think about the gods and goddesses of our past and of our history. I also do think of them in the terms of ancestral energy, that if I'm really feeling a connection to, say, the Morgan or to Odin or something of that nature, I do also think of them as being part of my lineage, part of my ancestry. Like they can kind of mingle in with energy of ancestral energy, as can Fey energy, right? There's a time in which, certainly in Celtic lore, this concept of the gods and those that have passed on and Fey, what we think of is all kind of the same thing, and sort of started to spread out later to become more individualized. But I think that they also can roll up in that way as well. Anyways, just my ramble here. Chris says, the older I get, the more comfortable I get with not knowing. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because I don't know if it ever bothered you, Chris, but it definitely used to bother me. Like I should be able to like nail this down. And I really don't need to. I'm comfortable not doing so. Ozark says, maybe there are so many different gods and paths to the divine because there's so many different kinds of humans. We are not cookie cutter humans, so it makes sense the divine isn't either. I definitely agree with you, Ozark. And that's, I've had conversations with my son before he passed away. We did talk about death, and we did talk about beliefs and things of that nature. That was a conversation. He was sick a very long time, so we did have those conversations. And we had a conversation one time, like what did he believe? Like he did strongly believe in God, and he did believe in there being life after this world. But he believed that all roads were going to the same place, that everybody was trying to find out why are we here? What are we here for? Where are we going? We're all trying to find those same questions, and that, our roads each look different. Our paths there just look different. And, which I loved that about him, that's the way he saw that. Of course, I'm his mother, so it's not too surprising. Woman Who Sees says, I'm trying to figure out if deity for me is archetypal or literal beings, or is deity different aspects of the divine within me? It's could it be all? See, that's, I guess, where I'm where I am now. And again, we all can shift and change the way that we see these things. I think that they shift over our life experience, and they can shift again, right? So I'm not saying that I have landed where I'm ever going to stay, but my answer would be, oh no, I lost it. I really love that. Oh, here it is. Women Who Sees. She was asking if it's archetypal, is it literal beings, is it a different aspect of this divine outward, or is it a different aspect of the inner divine? I really think the answer is it can be all of those things, right? That's kind of how I feel, is that it can be, the answer to that question can be yes. Don't you love it? Like if there's like multiple questions in a row, and the answer can just be yes, because it's all of those things. So I think that it is such a larger energy that it can exist and be yes to all those same things, if that makes sense. I see it as an all. There is Athena as a divine figure, Athena as an archetypal, and yes, as an aspect. Yes, I agree, Matthew. I think that the answer to that is yes. I think that it is capable of, being all those things, and it might be different things to us at different times, depending on what it is that we need, depending on what is our vision at that time, what is the lenses we're looking through. So I quite love that. There's an old Mongolian shot, and I'm sorry, I know that I'm missing things. It's just because as I talk, I miss things. So please, I'm trying to grab things as I scroll back a little bit. If there's something you really wanted me to see, please make sure that you repeat it with like an @ the truth in story, so it turns it orange, so that I can see it. But it's not from ignoring you. It's just as I talk, things go by. There's an old Mongolian shamanistic saying, many paths of the same mountain. Yeah, that pretty much sums up my belief system. As long as your belief system is respect. Yeah, and I think that that's what it comes down to, Bethany. I think respect. I think that we can all come at things differently. And as long as we have as long as we have respect that other people may have a different experience, it's very human, not in the best words possible, but it's very human to expect that everybody's going to have the same experience as we are. I think that we have to, stretch our humanness to accommodate the fact that not everybody has to have the same experience we have, and to be respectful of that. So yes, for sure. I definitely agree with you there, Chris. I don't think our ancestors fragmented things the way we do. It didn't have to be. We didn't. They maybe weren't as obsessed with finding the right box to put things in. And I'm a Libra brain. I am very capable of doing that, right? Of saying, okay, this needs to go here. This needs to go here. Okay, let's color sort these things. Let's do these things by shape. Like, it's very me type of thing to do. But I think that there was less concern over that. And I feel like that's kind of the point in which I've gotten to, that I can have a visceral experience with divinity this way. I can also have an archetypal experience, and that works. Like, it's just leave the space instead of compartmentalizing. Open the space up so that it just has a space to be whatever it is, and whatever it is in that moment as well. Okay, I am scrolling a little bit back because I would like to pick up on things. Terry says, after doing genealogy, I started exploring what would have been the ancestors' spirituality. Celtic shamanism is fascinating. Yes, I do feel a great tug. I always have. I am somebody who has always been very connected to my ancestry in terms of where my family is from. So I've always been, I've always known about the Germanic connection. I've always known about the Celtic. Now I know the Germanic, and I use that very broadly in terms of Norse and all of that all together. It is very, very much stronger than I even knew before. But I do feel a strong connection to those things that are part of my ancestral roots. Does that mean you have to have those to feel that? No, but it is something that does impact me, and I do have a strong pull towards those things. I'm not going to scroll back. Wait, I just saw something. Oh, I think somebody was talking, I don't know, they're talking about tongues. I missed out on that conversation, so I'm not sure what we're talking about with tongues. Matthew says, I saw the beautiful response about Barbie dolls. I must have missed. Oh, you saw a beautiful response about Barbie dolls and how the eternal nature of Barbie in all her forms is how divinities work. Barbie is different in all these forms, but she's still Barbie. She's still Barbie in a different side of Barbiness. I love that. Let's figure out divinity through Barbie. Chris says, I read in a chaos magic book describing it this way, paraphrasing, spirits clothe themselves with our imagination. I kind of love that. Yeah, I definitely agree. Angelina Luna says, I do think God manifests to the ones who believe in him. I have friends who don't believe in anything after death, and I'm afraid that since it's their will, they would end in a void or something. I would say that, yeah, that's an intro. That's like a whole nother topic, right? That's like an afterlife topic. What dreams may come, right? Let's have a conversation. Let's put that on one of our lists to talk about. Maybe we'll do that next week. What we believe about the afterlife. As you know, I believe in reincarnation, but that doesn't mean that I don't believe in lulls between, right? So I do believe in physical spaces that we can sit in and rest in, heavens of sort, and those types of things. So What Dreams May Come is a movie that's so scary, right? Because it's that idea that our afterlife is going to be influenced by the way that we believe, or what we make of it, so to speak. And for some people, that could be a pretty scary place. And for other people, that could be an amazing place, that whole energy that's there. Yeah, no, that's interesting. So we will have to put like the afterlife as a separate conversation, right? I'm trying to scroll back here. I got the Barbie one. I agree with Chris about, I think in the past people had less and I think there's probably a lot of people today who don't fragment things either. Bye, Claire. Have a wonderful Mass. He only remembers black. Yeah, past life experiences are, not past life, near-death experiences are something we could put in with the afterlife. So don't go too far into that conversation. Let's save that for the next conversation so that we can not get too off track. Because that's, as we've talked about reincarnation, but I don't think we've had a specific conversation about just the afterlife and what comes, near-death experiences and the afterlife. So we'll save that for another conversation so that we don't totally lose track of our speaking of the divinity. And I'm all for Santa Claus being one of your deities, Chris. For sure. I do know people that definitely work with, no problem, Angelina. It's so easy for things to roll. We try to kind of keep it, but it's hard because it's so easy for things to roll into the next day. They go together, but we're going to shift things up shortly to just random chit chat. I don't want to go off on it. That's a big subject that I'm fascinated with. I definitely know people today who do work with pop culture, such as Gandalf or Buffy. I know somebody on YouTube works with Buffy as a personification of it. And I don't mean personification as a denigration of it being real, but I mean, that's the aspect that they're working with. Because those are archetypal energies, right? Gandalf literally was an angel, right? So the lore of Lord of the Rings, he was an angel come down, the gray ones. But yes, so my point is that yes, when we talk, Chris was in the class as well. We talked a little about this in class, this idea that just because something is old doesn't mean it is better, right? So just because the stories and the gods and the goddesses and things of the older times, which we do tend to look back on like they have, and I do think there's power there, right? I think there is power because of so many people over so much time putting energy into those ideas of that form of divinity. So I do think there's power there. But at the same time, just because something is old doesn't mean that it's better. And so there are people who work with more modern incarnations of what in today's language, in today's culture, and today's stories and archetypal energy would be something that you would want to work with. And some people, do that with, say, Buffy, or I don't even know who Chris was, representing, but like Wonder Woman, or somebody that was similar to why people would have looked to Athena. We're going to find those same archetypes and those same energies in our modern world, and it doesn't make those things less than. I think it's absolutely fascinating to kind of pull, right, exactly, Hanaconda. She's like, sometimes at work I channel my inner Miranda Priestley, right? You're kind of pulling that. There's somebody who's that seems really powerful, because you need that in the moment. Or maybe somebody that seems really logical and calm, and you're like, I need, hear me, Buffy, I need your energy so that I can get out and slay this day, right? So I think that I do think that's fascinating. I do know a lot of people who do that. My clearest spiritual experience, neighborhood art says, happened during meditation. Meditation is a great place for that. A figure was walking beside me and we were talking. It's so deeply comforting. I've had things like that. Mine are often in dreams, but they are dreams that I know are not just dreams. They're very clear differences. I've had very strong experiences. I've also had waking experiences that have been very, very powerful. So yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of rolling this back. I'm learning about new gods and goddesses all the time. I've never even heard of the goddess Nehelenia. I'm not sure how you say that, Ozark Oracle. I apologize if I slaughtered it, until last year. And I really I've never heard of Ebnoba, and this is Celtic, but more in the Germanic. It's in Germany. It's the Black Mountain. I've never heard of Ebnoba. I feel like I've heard of a lot of, I've read a lot of mythology. And so I feel like I've heard a lot of the ones that, that most of the time come up in conversation or come up in decks and things, but I've never heard of Ebnoba. Now, that's not the case of I don't have as much in Chinese and Japanese gods and goddesses. I don't have as much handle on those because I haven't read a lot of those mythologically, but dreams are, for me, very powerful places. I had the most, I'm going to be the one. What time is it? We need to draw our card. Okay, so I'm going to change the subject slightly. I had the most a powerful experience, not power. I mean, I have a lot of it, so I can't say it's the most, but I had a dream last night, and I dream a lot also about animal energy. So I work with animal energy. I feel like very similarly to how I would say I work with divine, and probably more so with animal energy, to be honest. But I work a lot, very specifically, very directly with animal energy. But I think it encompasses the same space for me as divinity. And I had the most, I've never had a dream like this before. And I cannot think of anything, because I do think about, when I have dreams, I can tell the difference between a dream and a dream with a capital D. I work a lot with dream journeying and things like that. I have no problems telling the difference between the two. But I often will, just to sort of be well-rounded in how I interpret a dream, I do try to, okay, what did I watch on television yesterday? Or what's something that I might have seen that might have triggered a dream to go in that direction? I like to be able to sort those things out. I am very analytical as well as very open, but I am very analytical. And I think that people think because I'm a tarot reader and I do a lot of energy work and things that I'm somehow, how there's this preconception amongst the muggles that if you are a tarot reader, if you're teaching divination, that you don't have any sort of rational ability to think rationally. And I'm actually quite logical. You can be logical and also lean into energetic things as well. But people have that sort of idea about you. Anyways, so I do tend to analyze, okay, where could this have come from? But I cannot find anything for it whatsoever. And so I had a dream last night, and it was very disturbing. I won't be graphic because I think it will be disturbing to some people, but it was an animal dream. I was standing in the mountains. Now I will say, in terms of the mountains, I was thinking a lot about mountain energies with Ebnoba. Last night, I was definitely sinking into just thinking about her, did a little bit of research about the area, but there's no elephants that I'm aware of in the mountains of Germany. My family is removed from directly coming. My great grandparents were from Germany, but I'm pretty sure there's not elephants there. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, so the mountains make sense. I was in this beautiful mountainous area, and I was sitting there, and somebody was pulling an elephant cart. It was definitely a dead elephant, and was pulling a I think Hannah kind of high five with the logical woo. Anyways, somebody was pulling. I'm sorry, I can't talk because I'm watching the scroll go by. Was pulling like a carcass of a definitely a dead elephant. And there was a baby elephant, very tiny baby. It was probably way tinier than a real baby elephant was. But there was a baby elephant on kind of on the ledge. And then as they were pulling this dead elephant further, another baby fell out of the damaged side of this elephant. And so I was obviously horrified because I was watching this just a very damaged corpse of a beautiful female elephant. And so I was really horrified and of what I was seeing. But then I saw this baby on the ledge, and I went to obviously go grab the baby elephant, and another baby elephant had kind of fell out of the side, and I grabbed the other baby elephant. So I had two. Obviously, again, this is a dream, so size proportions aren't always accurate, but it was the most amazing experience. You know how when you have a real dream, a true dream, the feelings and like the emotional feelings are so powerful. And so I had that just that when I had those two elephant babies in my arms was the most powerful just feeling of love and connection, and the feel of their skin. Like it was just really powerful. And you know, the dream kind of just like fast forwarded, and I spent like this lifetime with these two elephants, these two baby elephants, and them growing up and being very distinctive personality traits. Like one very protective, almost felt like bear energy to me. The one elephant was a male. Actually, I think they were both males, but I wasn't really focused on that. But then the other one was just the sweetest energy. And that's sort of how I woke up with these two elephant energies like surrounding me that I had found and raised in the scope of this dream. And it was so powerful. Like I still am left with, because it was last night, and throughout the day, you know, having to do all the work, my focus has been outward, but it was still have that. I feel that I can just bring back that strong feeling. So I definitely think I've worked with elephant energy, but it's never been my totem energy that I've worked with, or spirit energy that I've worked with like directly. And I feel like that's about to change, because it was such a I still feel it. Like it makes me want to cry in a good way. It was like obviously it was very sad at the beginning, but it was a very nurturing, powerful energy by the end. So it was so interesting. I haven't had the chance, because I woke up and then I had to go into class and stuff. So I haven't had the chance until I just talked to you about it. I haven't had a chance to like really sit down and like think about it or journal about it or paint or anything like that. But it was very, very powerful. Like I still can feel it really strongly. Perhaps you're rescuing what is essential and precious substance sacred to you. That's very interesting. I know I haven't, Chris, had a chance to like dissect it at all, but it's very strong. And like I said, I hadn't seen anything about elephants. There's nothing I can think of that would have made me had that dream. And I know the difference between dreams I'm supposed to sit up and pay attention to. Okay. That was random. Dylan says, that was a random show. I needed to talk it out. I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it, so I had to talk to you guys about it. I don't really know what you mean by storm magic. Like, as soon as I see storm magic, Dylan, I think of Storm, like in the Avengers or whatever, that powerful I do believe that storms themselves are magical. Like I collect storm water for sure. Um, so the power and the energy of storm, but I don't know if when you're saying storm with a capital S magic, if that is a specific type of magic. So maybe clarify a little bit what you're asking me. Um, I know elephants are very ancestral and memory energy for sure. But I thought it was interesting that it was this, definitely old to like new, like pulling something new out of that, which was it was powerful. I mean, I definitely am going to be sitting a lot with it for sure because I know it was very important. I know it really is, neighbor. I'm not trying to be exaggeratory about it. It was very, very powerful. The feeling, I've had a couple. I have lots of experiences dream wise, but I've had a couple that have stayed with me a lifetime. Where it was the visceral feeling was so powerful that even when I just think about that experience, it brings up that sort of visceral power. And this is that one. I love Storm for Marvel. Thank you. I'm sorry. I said Avengers, but I mean like or whatever. I'm so discombobulated. I mean like including it in spells and also controlling it. I would not be probably the best person to ask. Like I don't try to control. I'm not what I would consider, whilst my boss calls me a sorceress and my father apparently fervently believes I'm a witch. I consider myself, I work with energy, but I don't have any, there was nothing I would have tried to have done to control a storm. Like I said, I do collect storm water because I do think it's very powerful and use that in sort of ritual and setting intentions and things like that. But I wouldn't consider myself a magician or a magic user in the sense of trying to harness storms or anything like that. I do too. I think it's interesting, but I don't like label myself that. Like I don't think of when I think of storm magic, I would think of a magician, I guess. And I don't tend to. I've never tried to control weather, so I don't feel like I have anything pertinent to say about that, other than that I do think storms are powerful. And yes, I do think that energetically collecting storm water and working during storms and things like that safely, not out in the middle of the field with a metal wand to get it struck by lightning, folks. Let's use common sense. But, working in that working with the energy of storms, I think, is very powerful. So that's about the best I can answer that question. Oh yes, I'm sorry. I'm shuffling the Art of Life tarot, which we do every week. Jada, I feel like I haven't seen you forever. I'm sorry, I was in the midst of talking when I saw you pop up there. But hello to you. Elephants react to music and have that kind of human connection. I was playing my piano before I went to bed. Maybe I called some elephant energy to me. I don't know. It was very powerful. I still need to sit there. I still need to sit there or sit with it and kind of see what other kinds of dreams that I have. I've been in a storm magic kick lately because of my own recent rainstorms. I've been asking people, I got you. Makes sense. There's been a huge storm front in the U.S., like all the way. We've gotten snow, but it's been like snow, and then it's been like these storm lines going all the way down. So I bet there's a lot of people thinking about storms right now. Okay, let me pull this card this is our card for the week. So we've been doing this forever. It feels like it's just one of our things we do with the same deck because it sets out. A lot of people have it and set it out as well. So let's get we're going to go with this one. Ooh. Strong one, 10 of Swords. Swords are my favorite suit. This is called The Crown by Odilon Redden. I'm probably saying that incorrect, but that's what I'm getting. The quote is by Benjamin Franklin and says, "Those things that hurt instruct." Oops, let me pull it this way so you can see it better. So you know that I love the 10 of Swords, or I love swords, and the number 10 for me is not a negative card, right? So, you're going to have a different reaction to the 10 of Swords than for me. The number 10 is the culmination number, right? It is that the full number of completion. 1 plus 0 takes us back to number 1 again. We complete the one cycle and then we swing around back to the beginning again. And so the 10 of Swords is powerful, and it is that sense of kind of reaching that fulfillment of a way of thinking, a way of thought. And I agree though with Benjamin Franklin that those things that hurt instruct, those things that feel amazing instruct, right? All the things instruct. Every experience that we have instructs and leads us to these 10 of Swords moments, right? So as a weekly card, for me, this would say that the experiences that we are going to have this week, whether they are painful, whether they are joyous, whatever those experiences are, whether they're frustrating, whether they're hopeful, it doesn't matter. Whatever experiences we have this week, allow them to instruct us. We were talking about how giving space for divinity to work in. I think that this is something similar. It's asking us this week to give space for learning from the experiences that we gain this week. Because sometimes we just plow through weeks, right? We're all guilty of this, where we just plow through we got to get things done. We got to get things done. And we haven't allowed any of it to instruct us. We haven't allowed the space to learn from that because we're just kind of getting through a particular week. And so having this card at the beginning as our week card, for me, says give yourself some space this week to learn something from the experience that you get. If you're feeling that, oh my gosh, I'm getting so frustrated with this person, they're driving me insane, maybe stop for a minute and say, okay, what can I learn from this interaction with this person? Yes, she's driving me crazy, but maybe I need to learn something here. Or, maybe you bump into car trouble where you're just having to deal with this situation. And it doesn't mean that you can't be irritated or frustrated, but in the end, what are you going to learn from it? Because then it's not just an irritation, or it's not just a frustration, or it's not just a happy moment where you're having lunch with your favorite people. It's something that you can learn from if you give the self the space to learn from that. So that's what I get here. So I'm going to put this in here. If you have a different deck with the 10 of Swords, well, you do. If you have a different deck, it has the 10 of Swords. But what I'm saying is, if you have, take one of your decks that you maybe aren't going to shuffle this week and set your 10 of Swords out so that you can have that, or just take a picture of one and put it on your phone screen. This deck has like an easel here, and so you can slide the card in. One of the things why we all here at this chat love this deck, if I can get it in correctly. Don't put it behind the plastic or you will never get it out again. Why is it getting stuck? There we go. So it just kind of slides in so that you can, and I just keep it, sits here on my desk, and it will remind me, breathe, Kelly, and learn from it. Breathe and learn, breathe and learn. Flamboyant clairvoyant is coming hot off of frustration in other fields. So the card says, what can you learn from this experience? Like, to never talk to this person again? That could be a lesson, right? That could be a lesson. Would you say the 10 is a lot of mental activity or the end of it? That's a good question. The lot of energy would be the 9. So number 9 is dynamic. It's 3 plus 3 plus 3, growth, 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 bouncing off the wall. Energy's all over the place, right? Crazy brain, crazy brain. So the 10 sort of brings that to a culmination. It brings it, not necessarily, the end feels like, okay, we're chopping something off, but it kind of comes into its full fruition. Whereas manic, I would think of more in the 9, if that makes sense. By neighborhood arts, traffic is cuckoo pants. Okay, well, drive safely. Be careful. Matthew says, one of my most current lessons is reaction versus responding. That's amazing. I have a tendency to go into phases where I react instead of respond, and forgetting that what we feel may not match intent. Yeah, I mean, I think that is an amazing lesson to learn. I think it's one of those things we have to remind ourselves, because it's so easy to snowball into reaction, doesn't it? I definitely feel you on that, and go through phases myself. It can go either way. It's like we have to remind ourselves to respond instead of react. Yep. I'm for sure feeling 10 energy right now as we close on the sale of my childhood home. Yes, I remember my grandmother, when we sold my grandmother's house, which I lived in for a lot of my childhood, and was there all the time, and it was time to sell it. She was not in it anymore, and we did need to, but it was definitely and I hadn't, of course, lived in it forever, but it still is it puts a cap on something that's really powerful. So this is driving me nuts. I know. I've told people who came earlier, I've conceded that I need my glasses around my neck. And I've been taking, I'm not going to lie, I've been taking off the chain before live chats, because it makes me feel really old. And I don't normally have those issues with getting old, but for some reason, this chain, it took me forever to even buy one. And then I was kind of hiding it, because I'm like, oh, I'm so old that I need to have glasses and a chain around my neck. But we're letting it all hang out. But it still irritates me. I haven't gotten comfortable with them. But I do really enjoy, because I can't read anymore. I can't do them when I'm watching TV. But if I need to read something, I need my glasses. I know. I don't understand, Jada and Tammy. I don't know why that one bothered me, because I generally embraced 30, I embraced 40. I was even happy to turn 50, but for some reason, a eyeglass chain bothers me. It's so funny how our brains are. Who knows the way our brains work and why they do silly things? But I've been silly about the chain. Okay. I'm sure I missed things. Okay, I'm not even gonna try to scroll back up. Let's just keep going. If I miss something, please feel. Oh no, Miss Veronica said Chris took the chain off mine because he said I look like it's great. See that Chris is telling us that there is something about why we think that way. Chris says, "Oh, Chris, you would look good with the walking cane. You can pull that off big time." But yeah, it's just funny how we have those things that I know. It's the truth, Jada. Like, I'm to the point, in all fairness, where, because I cannot walk around with these lenses. These are my reading glasses. And so I have to have other glasses for driving and walking around. And so, but I'm at the point now where I can't read menus. I went to a restaurant with my sister and my daughter the other day, and I could not read the menu, because I don't bring my reading glasses with me. I don't carry them around. And I now cannot read the menus if I don't bring them. Oh no. So sad. It's not super easy to get old. There is something, I feel like, talking about divinity, right? I feel like there's a bit of a divine joke in the fact that, just when you're getting your stride and you're figuring things out and you're getting an idea of who you are and how you function in the world, like, you're getting your stuff together when you're older, right? And so it's like, what kind of divine joke it is? Is it that just as you're kind of hitting your maturity stride, that your body starts to take a shit? There's just something wrong with the fact that because you're feeling like you're most powerful. Like, I feel like in an internal space, I feel the most powerful that I've ever felt in my life. Just because I feel like I figured a lot of things. I've done a lot of work, and I'm not saying I promise you, I have a lot of work to do. But I feel like I'm at my best space in terms of just having figured things out that I needed to figure out. And just when I'm feeling that, like, oh yeah, you gotta have your whole body starts shutting down. Like, oh come on, why? I know. I need to ink and flame, but I've worn glasses since I was in 5th grade, I believe. So in all fairness, I think I've tried to use like bifocal, some form of bifocal 2 times. The first time I am very prone to imbalance. So I have tinnitus really loud. I've had massive amounts of sinus infections. So I very easily can get vertigo. And I can get thrown off very, very easily. And so the 2 times, and it's been years since I've tried, and I know there's probably much better technology. It made me very nauseous, and it never calmed down. And so I'm really leery to try because they're expensive, right? The good ones are really expensive. And the idea of paying for that and then finding out it just triggers the vertigo too much, or does that unbalance never settles? I can't. Yeah, that dizziness, iridescent sea, and it's so expensive to do that and then have it not be able to use them. So, so yeah, my mom's the same way. She has a very hard time she does have progressive lenses, but she has a hard time. And I just have so many inner ear balance problems that I'm just so afraid of it. So I'm like constantly taking glasses on and off. I know it's ridiculous. I would like to turn into Baby Yoda. I missed that conversation. Okay. All right, I'm scrolling back, but I'm always see women who have their shit together, and it bugs me. But then it makes me stress. Oh no, I'm not. Trust me, I have a lot of stuff to figure out. That probably came across really arrogant, and I didn't mean it that way. I just mean that. I feel like I'm learning I've learned some of the lessons that I've needed to learn, and then everything starts falling apart. It's just kind of that frustration level there. Bye, Elrond. I guess it's there to keep us grounded, right? If we're gonna like Veronica, if we're gonna fall off, if we're gonna fall over, even being on a high floor has to keep us grounded, right? Yeah, it definitely does, Sherry. But really, we should physically be feeling at our absolute peak as we become inner better peak. Gaming Terry says, I had the same problem. My solution was to get a generic reading glasses. I can't. Unfortunately, I have a weird stigmatism and have them near both computers in my I do think what I will do, because you can like Zenny Optical is online, and there's another one I thought my daughter used, but I've used Zenny before, Zenny Optical, and you can get really cheap glasses. I have an old pair that I'm keeping on the piano, but I think I just need to get another of this prescription and just put it in my purse. That way, because I can't wear these driving. I can't see. I'll get nauseous if I try to walk around the apartment in them. So I think it's just going to be get some couple cheap pairs, and have one in my purse, have one so that I can read the restaurant menus. So ridiculous. Does it work? Yeah, and yes, if you just need to see it, because you wouldn't be keeping them on for long. I could probably use the cheap ones or the reading glasses. I could probably use just to quickly read something, but if I leave them on too long, they make me nauseous. But like I said, I think I've gotten $20 pair of glasses at Zenny. I'll just get one and stick it in my purse. So, anyways, now that we have thoroughly discussed the issue of having to concede to wearing chains and getting glasses to stash everywhere. Oh my goodness gracious, great ball of fire. You know what? I couldn't do the beads. I was concerned it would bother me. I ended up figuring out you can shove them back so that I can't see them. Because when I first put them on, I had them like way up here. I don't know why. And then I could see the chain, and that was driving me insane. Like, I don't want to see the chain at all. I didn't want to be reminded at all that it's on. We're so funny. People are funny what things bother us. Okay, so whew, it's been a long day. We had a long class this morning. I feel so sorry for everybody. I told them, I said, by the end of Saturday, when I'm doing a class, by the end of Saturday, and I still have a couple readings I have to do, I am so tired of listening to my own voice. It's ridiculous. Oh no, Jada walked in on me dragging. I was not dragging the dead elephant. And a man was, and he wasn't a bad person. It was interesting. I probably should pay some attention to that man, because there was a man that was dragging it up like the side of up like cliffs, like a very hard, like rocky. It was hard for him. And he was dragging the elephant. And he was not the person who had done anything to the elephant. And, he was not a bad person that had hurt this elephant. But he was pulling this dead elephant up the mountain. And then there was this baby. I got the baby, and then another baby fell out the side, and I got that baby. So I'm kind of curious. It was an old man. It's probably Odin, but it was an old man who was kind of trying to do this hard work of like trying to pull this elephant to the mountaintop. It was very interesting. I'm definitely going to do some more. I'll probably do a reading on it too, because it's fascinating. But what a terrible part to come into, Jada. Here's Kelly pulling a dead elephant. No, it wasn't me. I wasn't pulling an elephant. I know. I definitely, I can't wait to, I'm so glad I got to talk about it. You know how you really should try to talk about, if you had an impactful dream like that, you really should try to talk it through, even if it's just recording it or writing it down, because it helps you to remember details. Now, when it's these kinds of dreams like this, where they're dreams with a capital D, those I don't have any issue with, because I remember everything. Like right now, I can see the rocks, I can see the landscape, I can see the man, I can see the elephant, unfortunately, because it really was very sad. I can see the babies. It's all very vivid, even though I never had a chance to talk about it till I talked about it with you. Oh, no, it was very powerful. Very, very powerful. And those dreams do, like I said, I've worked many, many years with dreams with a capital D, and I sit up and pay attention for sure. Wish I could remember more dreams and keep a journal on them. You can start to train yourself, Sherry. There are ways that you can train yourself. Like you can kind of meditate on remembering your dreams before you go to sleep. You can talk to yourself as you're going to sleep about remembering your dreams. You can keep a journal next to your bed, so as soon as you wake up, even if it's just fragments, even if you just wake up and you're just like, oh, there was something in an old house, or whatever, and you can kind of keep, and it really, you can improve that. You can make it so that you improve how much that you recall. I unfortunately, because I have a lot of nightmares, but I unfortunately have very good dream recall. I always have, and then I've also done a lot of work on it. So I've not had to, but I know that there are things that you can do. I've had some dreams, and almost every time it was scary and horrific, but each time it was what I needed when I didn't see or read the other signs. Yeah. Sometimes is that like, okay, pay attention. Unfortunately, I hear you. There, Whale Song says, drink a lot of water before you go to bed, which will make you wake up more often, and maybe it will remember. Maybe it will keep you though from getting into a really good deep sleep. I don't know. Truax Terra says, oh, I just see I have been unsubscribed from Kelly's channel. One of my subscribers. Yeah, no, it happens. It happens on YouTube every so often. People just get randomly unsubscribed. I have definitely found myself unsubscribed from people that I know I was subscribed to. It's just YouTube. YouTube is weird, and it happens. I'll be floating in a pool, said Sherry. May not be as helpful. Hello, Miss Kaleidoscope. When I started using fluoride filters on my Berkey, I started having a lot more powerful dreams. That is interesting, Terry. I've never heard a correlation like that, although it would not surprise me. Yeah, there are crystals. Like I do keep a clear quartz next to my bed because I'm a clear quartz kind of woman. So I keep a clear quartz next to my bed. And I also keep a I always Hedenbergite, which is a dream, like a shamanic dreaming stone, and I keep that next to my bed. I think those are the only two crystals I have in my crystals tend to amp me up, right? So I already have insomnia and I don't need things that are going to amp me up. Technically, people would say quartz would, but quartz is not for me. But those are the two crystals that I keep next to my bed for dreaming things. Fluoride calcifies the pineal, I don't know if I'm saying that correct, the pineal gland. After a month of having none, mine just opened up. Very interesting. True Rocks has green adventuring, good for hot. Oh, I need some of that then, don't I? I've been having hot flashes since I was 27. I'm just used to them. And rose quartz. Yeah, I'll have to try I think I have green adventuring. I'm positive I do. I love it. Nikki has a pink amethyst that's a diva stone. That's hilarious. Miss Kaleidoscope said she just watched my bestiary. I always want to say bestiary because we're talking about beasts. Bestiary walkthrough, and ooh, I know. Maybe we'll do that for. I had a complete that didn't come out right, did it, Two Rocks? I had a complete hysterectomy at 27. Couldn't leave anything. No ovaries, no pieces of ovaries, like everything, including the appendix, had to go. Horrible endometriosis. And so, yeah, I've had no hormones since. Lots of hot flashes. Something I was going to go do something and I got sidetracked. Oh, you did get yours, Matthew. Do you love it in person? It's a beautiful deck. It really is beautiful. They're doing another one. They're doing a new choice. I don't think it's called that, but the same person is doing, I don't know, it's probably a Rider-Waite-Smith style version of it, I believe. I had the bestiary right here. Oh no, here it is. I left it over here because I am so loving them with the, I put a picture up on my Instagram. I'm really loving using them with the fauna playing cards. I'll remember that too, Rox. I'm going to definitely try it. I used a frozen rice pack on the back of my neck when I had hot flashes. stopped them and went through menopause as a breeze. Frozen rice pack did the trick, huh? Jada made a dream pouch once. Yeah, I have to be careful about that. Mugwort, I have to be. Yeah, there. Yes, I hear you, Jada. I have done stuff like that. The problem is I have no issue with dream recall or having dreams with a capital D. And so if I do stuff like that, it's like, no, then I don't get any kind of sleep and it's not definitely restful. I'm gonna pull a herbiary and a bestiary for Miss Kaleidoscope. Well, it's for everybody, but just because we're gonna tempt her, I guess. Yeah, no, I've learned that lesson too, Jada. I have to be very careful. I guess I really do think it comes down to the fact that I don't need help in that area. And so then I'm just asking for trouble when I do that. So yeah, I'm going to definitely try green aventurine for those ladies out there who are starting to feel the effects of hot flashes. Okay, so I'm going to pull one from the bestiary, which we have Beaver, which has, that make manifest, do the work, right? Get up there and make, what is it that you want to have happen? Go make it happen, right? That's Beaver, like go make it happen. Don't sit around and wait for it. Let's pull an herbiary too. Hello, Aspen Sage, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Dylan, I'm really bad at recalling my dreams. I can wake up and remember dreams and fight. Oh, you've got to not sit up, Dylan. Don't sit up, like literally, and maybe even just can you just wake up and just like grab your phone and just talk, have it set so you can record it and just grab your phone and start talking. If I feel like anything is fleeting, like if I feel like there was something I need to remember, but it feels fleeting, grabbing my phone and just talking it without sitting up or anything like that might help you. Again, the more that you do that, you'll start to get more of a tolerance, or you'll start to, that recall will build. I do believe it's a muscle. And I know that you can improve that. The fact that you do remember it for very briefly means that you can remember it longer if you practice the muscle. What deck am I enjoying using with Arcana? I'm totally blanking. Sagarlu, I'm totally blanking about what do you mean by Arcana. I know you're going to explain it to me further, and I'm probably going to be like, Kelly, but I don't know what you're talking, if you're talking about a specific deck. I'm going to pull this one other card while she explains what she's asking me. Okay. The other card that we have is, let me see what's on the backside too. We have the Forbidden Fruit of the Apple. Dana, personally, I don't agree. Okay, I'm not sure what. I like to lie and try to return to the dream space in my head, even though I try to. So, isn't that frustrating though, Aspen? When you are, yes, that is my. Look at him. He's like. Oh, that's not on my computer. Look at him. He's like, they can't see me if I swim over there. So I'm going to come stay over here and be sassy anyways. Herbiary is the other one. I made the mistake of getting him little shrimp treats. He is obsessed. See, every time I walk by, he thinks I'm going to give him the little tiny shrimp treats, like little dried shrimp treats. I don't think it was my best idea. I'm very distractible. It's been a long day. Okay. So our first card was Make It Happen. So this is from the Bestiary. It's a book. I just did a walkthrough of it. You can get a big version of this, but this one you can't yet. So we have the beaver come out and say, look, if you want something to happen this week, you better make it happen, right? I do believe that what we've just been talking about, the divine, I believe that our ancestors, I believe that whatever energy out there is, that divine energy expects us to do the work. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be supportive. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be helpful and all those kinds of things, but they do expect us to do the work. So, but this is kind of that direct message of, if you want something done, get it done and do it. And then it's interesting because they have the apple card. With the herbiary card, we have the apple card, and they have the apple card here as in forbidden fruit. I don't know that I really, I understand the Garden of Eden connotation of the apple with the forbidden fruit. I'm not so much on the Garden of Eden stuff. That doesn't do it for me so much with apple, because apple for me is about abundance, and apple for me is about harvesting, and it's delicious. I love apples, and so it has to me more to do with abundance. So I would read this more in terms of, if you want abundance, like this week, if there's some things that you want to get taken care of, if there are things that you want to be able to bring into manifestation, to harvest in, make it happen. Get out there, do the work, make it happen. So that's how I'm reading those two cards. And this was just a random pulling because Miss Kaleidoscope made me think of them. There we go. You want something done? Go get it done. And I think I still missed Sagarloo's. The only thing I'm curious about is what you mentioned, using a deck with that. The only thing I'm curious about is what you mean by what deck, what Arcana deck. That's the only thing I'm not sure what the Arcana deck means. That's where I've lost it, and it is not your fault. My brain is definitely not functioning very well today. Well, it is functioning well. It's tired, so it's allowed to start to get a little bit like, all right, lady, stop talking for 2 minutes. I actually really like this size. Again, I think I said it in the walkthrough, but the herbiary, you can get a big, but it's a big oracle deck. I actually really like this smaller, because I contemplated and then they're coming out with a crystal one too. And I like the small size, so I ended up saying I'm just going to get the bestiary in the small size of the herbiary. I pushed Miss Kaleidoscope's button. The beaver said, "You want it? Buy it." Sorry. Tim Gunn, make it work. Yeah, that's our answer. Just want to point out that the Bible never says it's an apple, it's just a fruit. Yeah, there are people who make a case that it's a pomegranate and stuff, but we have to say that in terms of the iconography, we definitely get the apple all the time and it's had a snake around it. I mean, it's kind of, and it says forbidden fruit. So, I mean, it's definitely a nod to the, blame the beaver. Yeah. Don't blame me. Blame the beaver. The beaver's like, get it done, buy it, just do it. Quit talking about it and just do it. Blame the beaver. Oh dear. The plane. Oh yes. If that's what you're talking about. I use the playing card deck the most. Did you ask me? Here it is. I love this deck. So if it's this deck. Okay, we've all lost track. She's like, I don't even know. Just stop talking about it. This one, in terms of tarot, I most often use with the darkness of light. So I use these two in past life readings all the time. So these two are best buds. But I don't even think at this point that was the actual question. She's like, just stop. Oh my goodness. I apologize to Sagar. I start to yawn. Ooh, I'm actually pleased to have made it this long. I kind of wondered if I would even make it this far because I'm tired. What is my most recent Lenormand deck? My most recent Lenormand deck is over here because I need to do a walkthrough of it. And I cannot pronounce the name of it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, that makes sense. I will make sure to do that. Thank you, Miss Nikki. I meant to do that, and I didn't. Clearly, I didn't, Miss Nikki. I meant to do it, and I didn't. But I will make sure to do that next time. I'll actually do that too when I stop the stream. That way people know what we're talking about. So yes, I'm going to be doing a walkthrough. I've got to do a walkthrough. It's right over there to do a walkthrough on, Amber. So if you watch for it, it starts with an A, and I cannot tell you what it is for anything. It's really cool because I put it on my Instagram, a picture of it a little bit back. It has like gold. It's based off of that. I believe it's a Japanese where if you break a piece of pottery, you meld it back together with gold, and it makes the fixed object something beautiful in and of its own right. And so the Lenormand deck has these lines of gold going through them, and it's really beautiful. But it should be out in the next week because I've got it set to do a walkthrough of it. So that's the newest one. I think that was your question, which is terrible because I can't give you the name. Somebody else asked me a good random question I don't have to think too hard about. Matthew says, any decks that you're expecting or looking forward to? Don't ask me this. Thank you. Yes, Whale Song, that one. Is that how it's spelled? Oh, let me see if I can Google it with that and see if I can find it. Thank you. There's always somebody who's wonderful to remind me. Let me see. It's probably spelled something different, but maybe if I try to put it in, it will come up. But it's something like that. Here it is. Here it is. I'm going to get the link. That one. That's the one I'm talking about. Matthew. I don't even want to think about. Well, number one, I'm waiting for my own Oracle deck, and it is killing me. They like shut down for a little while, so it's taking forever. And I have to admit, I think I've purchased some decks just because I'm impatient to get my Oracle deck. So the test copy, the final test copy, I have a half test copy, but I'm getting the full test copy. So that is that's driving me nuts. The only other one that I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for the four. Nikki always knows which ones I'm talking about. Is it the Dark Forest, the Dark Woods Tarot? Nikki, I think it's Nikki who always knows what I'm talking about when I call it wrong. I think that's coming in June. I'm really looking forward to that, but I haven't ordered it. I'm just looking forward to it. The only one that I'm ordered that I'm waiting for is the, I'm cringing because I really shouldn't have probably purchased it, but I couldn't resist. The, Mystical Creatures, the Baba Studio Mystical Creatures. I had ruled it out, and I think it was somebody on this live chat. Thank you very much. You guys always say I'm like influencing you, but you guys are influencing me sometimes. I had ruled that deck out because I didn't like it let me take that back. The art was beautiful in just the line drawn ones, but I thought it was a bit busy for cards. Like I would love any of those pieces on my wall, but I thought it was too busy for me. But then I found out two things. One was that it looks a lot more cohesive and less busy with the color on it. And two, it's a pip deck, which I didn't even realize before. Anyways, so that one I'm waiting for. And the Hush Tarot I am loving. I really, and that's another one I have to do a walkthrough. But I wanted to use it first. They're talking about the Hush Tarot right now. I wanted to use it first because I really thought maybe it was just pre-existing art, which I do think it is. So I thought it was pre-existing art that wasn't going to read very well, but it actually reads, for me, it reads really beautifully, and I quite love it a lot. But so anyways, it's definitely, I wouldn't call it like a beginning tarot. It does use pre-existing art, but it's just so liminal space. It's so fey and sometimes a little bit uncomfortable that it just works really, really well. And I quite love it. So I haven't done a walkthrough of this yet. Again, I had wanted to actually like try it out to see what did I feel about it. That's the backing. So somebody was talking about the Hush Tarot. So it's called the Hush Tarot. But it's definitely, and I wouldn't say dark fae, because dark fae implies that the deck is dark, and it's just fae, and fae is other. It's not the same as we are, and it should be slightly uncomfortable and slightly off of center. Like that's what fae energy should be, and that's what it feels like. So yeah. Anyways, so somebody was talking about it. That's why I brought it up. I think I saw the Hush Tarot. Maybe not. Yeah, I was worried about it too, Al. I don't find it that way. Although, I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. A Queen of Swords is a Queen of Swords is a Queen of Swords to me. And while art can be disruptive to that, or even a Three of Swords means the Three of Swords to me, no matter what the image says. So in some ways, all decks function as a pip deck for me. But I don't find any, it's a lot of birds. But like this is a Three of Pentacles. Like that speaks of the Three of Pentacles. Like she's putting on her hat for the Eight of Cups, and she's in the owl, and she's going to go in on that inner journey there that we think about with the Eight of Cups. So I don't think it's, if you don't feel comfortable with knowing the, if you don't feel comfortable working with tarot in terms of knowing how you read a card, I think it could be slightly more difficult simply because it isn't super traditional. It does use pre-existing art, but I will say the little guidebook is helpful. It does talk about what's on the card. Like with the Death card, it talks about the exact type of eagle it is and how that eagle might be connected to the card. So I've been pleasantly surprised. I really will say that I didn't care because I wanted the art, but I had my suspicions that it would be not super usable, and I've been pleasantly surprised. You have to be willing to go into the woods with it. It's very similar. If you have the John Bauer tarot, it's very similar to read in terms of you have to be willing to just kind of wander off into the woods. You have to be comfortable with it not being super specific. and be comfortable just kind of wandering into the woods. That's the best way I can tell. If you have or the John Bauer and you're like working with it, I feel like you would be liking the Hush Tarot, even though they're different energies, but it's that similar type of reading. I don't know if this is helpful whatsoever. Yes, definitely, Miss Nikki. Very much has a Magic of You Oracle vibe for sure. For sure. What I consider to be shamanistic. No. Animistic, yes. There's a lot of animals. There's a lot of birds in it, but it's very fey. There's a lot of human figures in it. Shamanistic for me is very earthy. Again, like we all have our own ways of looking at these things. There's probably too many figures in it. To me, they're shamanistic and fey energy kind of overlap, but it's very fey energy. Whereas shamanistic or animistic decks for me are very, very earthy and earth-based and not necessarily fey. It's so unhelpful. I'm doing the best I can. I'm sorry. The John Bauer is one of my all-time favorite decks. Absolutely love it. Yes, they overlap, right? I do think that shamanism is humans journeying, right? So if you think about shamanism or animism and the way in which shamans do certain things, that by embodying animals, it definitely has a lot of that embodiment of animals sort of overhead, journey, all that type of stuff. I feel are human beings stepping into the other world, right? And so there is an intersection between fae and shamanism, whereas shamans are stepping into the other world to do their work. So yes, in that sense, but it is much more, it's much more on the side of the fae, right? Versus humans tapping into that for journeying and things like that, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, Al. Hello, Miss Molly. Is Hush like children's book illustrations? John Bauer to me is children's book illustrations. Obviously, that's exactly what they were. So yes, I guess in a way, but definitely dark. Like they wouldn't use all of these in children's books, but it has that energy of children's books illustration. But it's definitely not something you would not find his work. Like here's the Death card, which is amazing. You probably would not find that in a children's book. But there is a quality of that, right? Oh, look at this Five of Cups. Very powerful. And then you have the wheel with a bug that's spinning around on a leaf. Look at the Moon card. I have to do the walkthrough. I just wanted to use it so that I could say, is this a pretty deck of pre-existing art, or is this a usable deck? For me and my style of reading, it's very, very usable. But there are uncomfortable things. It's a lot of intersection between human figures, but they're fae, like this. I mean, look at this little cat, but look at that little person, that little fae creature there. So it's not always easy energy. Like this is the Eight of Wands. It's not always, it's very liminal space, is the best way I can describe it. And it's definitely, as Nikki said, the Magic of You Oracle. It has that energy of welcome to the other world. You're not in the human world anymore. Feel to it. I do too, Miss Molly. There are little borders, but they don't interfere with the cards. It's definitely a deck I have been very greatly enjoying. Okay, I hope I didn't miss. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit, Al, as best I can. Chris said, which pip deck did you say you're waiting? No, I'm waiting for the Dark Woods to come out because I am excited about that. But I purchased the, I think, is it called the Mystical Creatures? Somebody write me. It's a Baba Studios deck. Like it kills me. The pricing on those kill me, but I also know that they're well worth it. It's Mystical Creatures, but it's a pip deck. It's an amazing pip deck, and I didn't realize it was a pip deck. And also the color washing on it for me brought a uniformity where I thought it was a bit busy with just the line work. So I went ahead and mythical. Sorry, I said mystical. So yeah, Chris, that was what I was talking about. That I was like, okay, I just have to because they're going to get sold out. And I'm a mythical creatures kind of woman, and I'm a pip deck kind of woman. So, that was painful. I keep looking for a deck that feels like life after humans to me. I don't know. Let me know if you ever found one. I'm a chicken, I know, but the message is yes. I had to get used to the art. Which one are we talking about, Nikki? Oh, The Magic of You. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there are, well, I follow the artist on Facebook, so I've seen a lot of her artwork. And I thought there were a couple pictures on the Amazon. Let me see if I can find it and I'll link it. But I've seen a lot of the artist's other work. It's very graphic, like, how do you say that? Very illustration looking. It's similar to like the Haunted Mansion tarot. And as the Haunted Mansion, no, I just called it the Dark Mansion tarot. It's like the adult version of that. And not that that's not adult. I love that deck, but it's like dark fairy tale. That's how I wouldn't say fae at all, but it's like dark fairy tale. It's going into the dark fairy tale realm, which is, of course, what fairy tales were. Fairy tales were adult stories. We've kind of turned them into children's stories, but we won't. So there's a couple cards. Definitely nudity. There's not a lot. That's just, I think, a zoom in on the same ones. But if you look up Sasha Graham, you can see a lot of her artwork. Chris, Life After Humans, Tarot Z. I have that one too. That's pretty good. I love it, Chris. Not skipping around. Kelly, are there any Oracle decks? I know it doesn't sound like it because we've been talking about tarot decks. I'm actually more interested in Oracle decks at the moment than tarot decks, probably because, I do have a lot of tarot decks and I have quite a few Oracle decks as well, but it's harder for me to find Oracle decks that I love. I search through them all the time because I enjoy I enjoy working with Oracle in a way that I haven't. No, I'm not really into nudity, but you own any adult decks? I don't have any what I would consider. I have lots of decks that have nudity in it, which I have no issue with. I don't have any adult decks that have like humans engaging in sexual positions or anything like that. New Choice is probably fairly adult, even though I don't think there's anything actually graphically going on, but not really. I don't have any that I would only pull out for adults. I do have some that I wouldn't, like if I knew somebody was uncomfortable with the nudity that I might not use, but I'm not. Yes, I have. I'm following her on Facebook, Bohemian Spirit. Yes, definitely. Okay. I feel like I missed something or I got sidetracked for some reason. Oh well. If I forgot, if I missed you, please just Oh, I know. I was answering somebody's question about Oracle decks. Oh, well, I've been really enjoying the Sacred Destiny Oracle, so I've been using that a lot. My decks are a mess right now. So that's one I've probably been using the most. I've really been enjoying the Divine Muses Oracle, which I did a walkthrough on that. I've really been sinking into that energy. So those two for sure. The last little bit or so, I've been working with the Goddess Spirit Oracle. That I filmed a review of last night, but I haven't done a walkthrough of it yet. But this is obviously goddesses, but it has like suits. Like she has the chakras, she has the major arcana tarot cards, a goddess for each of those. She has lunar phases. Like it's very interesting how she went about it, and I absolutely love her artwork. Which I don't know if it's pencil and watercolor or colored pencil work, but they're really beautiful. And I have been really enjoying this. And I don't work with a lot of, I have a video comparing a bunch of goddess decks, but I haven't found the one. I told her if this one had Anya in it, it would be, I love this Kuan Yin. Fortuna, of course. Hell, I do like that she has the decaying side as well. Not all decks do. Spirit Guide. Trying to give some variety of ones. Mott. I like this of Scotty. Sekhmet. Kali. She's very good. You know, she reminds me of Persephone. She reminds me of Julia Jeffries. So if you get Tarot of the Hidden Realms, what Julia Jeffries is amazing at, in my opinion, is her body positions. She puts her in amazing, like kind of fey body positioning, but then her facial expressions are beautifully done. And I feel like she does a really good job. Rachel is the name of the artist. And I feel like she does a really good job of facial expressions. I really quite enjoyed it. Isis. So anyways, that's the one I've been working with currently in terms of Oracle decks. I think I got these all whopper jawed. But I don't know if that answered any question I was trying to add. I think they're still talking about oh no, that would not be good. So we would have the basement humans coming out. I'm not calling them trolls. I love trolls. Trolls are part of the Fey world, and I refuse to call them. I slip sometimes, but I refuse. We're going to call them basement dwellers, which is really bad because there's probably lovely people that live in basements, but I'm trying to come up with something better than that. Okay, I'm sure I missed something showing those. Now that my daughter's older, I'm more okay with nudity because she's learning it too, but I can sometimes get a bit ridiculous and over the top. Yeah, I don't have any problems with nudity whatsoever in decks. Like, I don't even think twice about it. But when it goes to the degree in which it's more the body postures, right? When it gets to a ridiculous degree where women are just kind of in these positions that no regular women would probably be able to hold for more than a second. And certainly, it's not a natural way of sitting or being. I know, Jada, it's so true. As I lose track because I'm trying to watch what everybody's saying and I lose it. I lose track. I'm like, I don't know if I answered that question. I probably rambled off somewhere and lost it all along the way. I know. Anyways. So for me, it's more about the postures. It's less about the nudity, and it's more about, is it just going out of its way to be ridiculous, or is it just nudity? So there's a difference between those two things for me. Okay, I think I'm not going to scroll back up there because I am going to wrap this up because I am ready to stop talking for a little bit because clearly I need to stop talking for a little bit. As always, it has been very lovely talking to you all. I appreciate your patience in my rambling. And I really was, I was enjoyed the topic conversation. It was interesting to talk that out with everybody. I think that was interesting. I enjoyed that conversation. Again, I really like our topic talks. So I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Whether you're working or not, I hope that you have a chance to be able to relax a little bit sometime in this weekend. And I will see you guys all next week. I'm going to end the stream and find the button. Enjoy your night and your weekend. That's where we're going to go.